So you're like the Rocky of barbecue, like the little unknown guy that comes in, and then you're like, oh, he won everything. You know, there's guys over there in Memphis and Kentucky sitting there going, who the hell is this Carey guy? He just came in and just destroyed everybody.
Yeah. Well, I hadn't won a James Beard. So
hey, well, that's because you're past the award. They're like, no, we need him to cook for us.
That's right.
We'd be better off talking about what you don't do, because that list would be smaller. Y'all, my notes here, these pages, they're bullet pointed, and it's 3 pages long.
We've been very fortunate.
You're like, hey, this one's good, and then it punches you in the face.
Oh, it does punch you in the face. It does, yeah. 126 proof will punch you right in the face.
Yeah. Don't you go downstairs every day between certain hours and sit at the bar and talk to people?
A lot of times,
and hang out?
I'm sitting at Bullshit Corner generally a lot of times at 4:30. People think those otters are cute and cuddly. You know, they lay on their back and pop those muscles. They hold hands when they sleep and all that. But when you get around them, they can be kind of mean and territorial. And so I was down there swimming and I got bit by one of the otters. Next thing you know, lost my leg. You know, it's not fun.
Hence the name Peg Leg Porker.
Peg Leg Porker, that's where it came from. Vicious otter attack.
You know, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't fangirling a little bit over this episode. I'm not gonna lie. I was so happy when we put this together. So everybody, this is Carey Pringle, the OG here, and one of the OGs here in Nashville for restaurants and food and barbecue. My God. So I was so excited for that. Thanks for coming on the show.
Well, thank you for having me, John. I appreciate it. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, this is awesome. Yeah, and I just right off the bat, I have to show this. I love this. Sarah was showing this. So, like, for your last name, Pringle, it's like Pringles with a B, and you had your custom Pringles pack. This is wait. Are there chips in there?
Yeah, there's chips.
There's actually chips in there.
There's actually chips in there. Yeah.
Of course, barbecue flavor.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I just had to show that. So thank you. Y'all have some fun here. This is cool.
We do.
Awesome.
We do.
But yeah, no. Thanks for coming on the show. I know we've been trying for this for a couple months now, and our schedules all over the place. And you're a busy man.
I'm busy lately.
Yeah, you got a lot going on.
I
Dang.
do.
So
Absolutely.
And we'll get into all this here in a little bit, but you got a lot with your distillery, your bourbon, everything. So
yeah,
that's awesome. Very cool. But for those who don't know who you are, which is if they're living under a rock, Carey, your whole family, goes back to 1800s with barbecue. Is that right?
Well, yeah, my family settled in Tennessee in 1827. Okay, and they were farmers, and so. Over in Covington, they were in Covington, Tennessee, which is outside of Memphis in Tishomingo County. And so, actually, it's Tipton County. Sorry.
Okay. Oh, there you go. That's all right. No problem.
Not Tishomingo's down in Mississippi.
Oh, there you go.
But so we have deep roots in Tennessee. They, as farmers, were never in the barbecue business, but certainly cooked a lot of barbecue, and it was always important to the family, and it's always just sort of been something that our family revered and really took seriously. Yeah. So I grew up learning from my uncle and from my grandfather, and going to barbecue places with my grandmother over in West Tennessee, where my grandfather had delivered a lot of the children of the barbecue families around that area.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. So
dang. So yes. So there. I guess there was no aha moment like, hey, I'm going to do barbecue. You were just born it with Memphis mesquite in your veins, right? So.
Well, hickory. It'd be hickory.
Oh, hickory. My apologies. Yeah.
Yeah. But barbecue was always something that was very important to us.
Yeah.
And so, you have a moment where you say, oh, I want to do this for a living, or I want to open a restaurant. And that was I knew probably in my 20s that was something that I eventually wanted to do. Yeah. But I had multiple careers before I ever opened this up.
Okay.
And so I was in healthcare, and I was in technology.
Okay.
And always did barbecue, but didn't make a living at it.
Okay. Well, if you always thought you were going to, but different careers beforehand, what was the aha moment where you're like, okay, let's do this now?
So I think that, I had been cooking down at Memphis in May in the World Championship for 20 some odd years.
Oh gosh!
Before I probably around 20 years before I finally decided to pull the trigger. I had already bottled my sauce and my rub. Really wasn't out there pushing it a whole lot. Mainly giving it to family and friends. We sold it on one website, and I was working for Verizon, not for the wireless division, but for their UUNet division or their data.
Gotcha.
And doing contact center services, software, hardware sales. And I had a boss that I didn't get along with great. And she and I did not work out well together.
Okay.
So I was able to exit the company. And at that point, I was like, you know what? I thought I was going to wait till retirement to do this, but now I feel like this is the moment that I want to do it. I had a client that was a good friend that called me up, and he said, "Hey, what's going on?" And I said, "Well, I left Verizon, and I think I want to open my barbecue restaurant." And he was like, "Well, how are you going to make a living until then?" And I said, "Well, I don't know." And he goes, "Well, I got a budget for a consultant. Why don't you come and consult for me?" And I said, well, I've never been a consultant. He was like, it's all right. It's not that hard. And I said, well, I don't know if I have the skill set. He goes, I've worked with you for 5 years. You have the skill set. And so he hired me as a consultant. And I was able to save his company about $500,000 a year in the first 3 months. And so he was like, stay as long as you want, get your restaurant built out, and then we'll be your very first client.
Nice.
And so that allowed me the freedom to work when I needed to and be flexible to come over here and manage construction. And through a long roundabout path, finally ended up getting this building and built it out for a very reasonable sum, and the rest is kind of history.
Did you ever think back then that Peg Leg Porker would be what it is today when you were first starting?
You hoping that you dream that maybe it will be, but you don't expect it. You just put your head down and work your ass off and hope that you're going to make it. That's the biggest thing when you open a restaurant is you put your head down and you hope that you're going to make it. And you've got about a 6-month honeymoon period. And the problem with a lot of times with restaurants that don't make it is they go in, they hit that 6-month honeymoon period and they think, well, we're crushing it, we're killing it, and that's when they tend to back off and they take their foot off the gas. And for me, I had done enough startup businesses, I had seen enough out there that when we hit the 6-month mark, that's when I said we need to push on the pedal harder. Because if we don't, we will be one of those statistics. And so we really worked our asses off. And it was me, and then I had what we call my right leg man, Steve Dresch. He was a welder by trade, and he came to work for me as my very first employee, and he'd been cooking with me for 10 or 12 years before that on my barbecue team, and we'd been building smokers together. And so he worked alongside of me, and we worked our ass off. We even had cots down in the kitchen, and we would sleep here some nights.
So did it go that honeymoon phase? Was it like kaboom? Did it take off, or was it?
We took off fairly quickly and did pretty good because I had a good social media presence. I had talked it up a lot. Nobody's going to promote you like you're going to promote yourself.
Oh, absolutely.
And so I had told, I was telling everybody that I knew. And I was getting it out there to every restaurateur, every media outlet, everybody that we were going to be open. And so when we opened, we were very fortunate that we opened to very good fanfare, and then we kept it up.
I know we were just talking off camera. I remember when Music City Dream Cars was around the corner and going over there and talking with Jonathan. Used to ride over here and have lunch all the time. So
this neighborhood was not quite what it is now.
It's quite different now.
It was pretty scary.
Right?
Most of my family and friends thought I was crazy for opening up over here.
No, you're a visionary. That's what it was. You saw this coming and you're like, right here. But now you have a couple locations, right?
So we've got four restaurants total. We have Peg Leg Porker, which is a flagship. We've got Pringle's Smoking Oasis now over in the Nations, which is our Texas-style place, and a great fun if you want to watch sports or a game. It's turfed. We got big Jumbotron TVs, dog-friendly, kid-friendly. And then in the airport, we have Pig Star, which is a partnership with Delaware North, and that's been great. We're on the B concourse. And then I'm partnered with another family, Levon and Kim Wallace, for Fat Belly Pretzel and Deli over in East Nashville. It's the best sandwich in town.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
And now you got your own distillery and doing all this stuff.
Yeah, we've got Peg Leg Porker Spirits, and we have our blending and bottling facility and tasting room over on Eugenia.
Yeah, okay.
And which is off of Thompson Lane next to Southeastern Salvage. And that's been great. We got that up and running this last year, and it's been a game changer for us and really allowing for us to expand the spirits line.
Nice, cool. Yeah, well, we'll definitely get into more of this here in a little bit. But before we do, if you don't mind, I just want to back it up a little bit for those that don't know the story. I got to hear about this otter story. What's this crazy freak otter story? What's that about?
Well, I'm down at the lake, and we've got a place on Pickwick Lake down in Iuka, Mississippi, and that's Tishomingo County. So
there you go.
That's why I said that. And I'm down there swimming by the dock, and people think those otters are cute and cuddly. They lay on their back and pop those muscles. They hold hands when they sleep and all that. But when you get around them, they can be kind of mean and territorial. And so I was down there swimming, and I got bit by one of the otters, and didn't think much of it until it got infected, and then kind of gangrene set in, and next thing you know, lost my leg. It's not fun.
No. Hence the name Peg Leg Porker.
Peg Leg Porker, that's where it came from. Vicious otter attack.
Now, I know you've done that on the news. You've told that, haven't you?
I've told that, yes. That's not the truth. So, actually, I lost my leg to osteogenic sarcoma bone cancer.
I got you.
When I was 17 years old.
17? Okay.
Which is a rare bone cancer that's very aggressive. And I'm a very lucky man to be here. Thanks to a lot of prayers and my church and my family and my friends,
awesome.
I'm very blessed to have survived that. And so we took it, and instead of making something negative out of it, we tried to make something positive out of it. So,
I love that you did it. How many times have you told that to people, and they're like, "Oh my God"?
Yeah, a lot of times.
Because you say that so serious.
Yeah, a lot of times. We went down and cooked a dinner at Fox Brothers Barbecue one time right before we opened the restaurant, and they had their whole staff in there, and I told them that story, and these girls were in there crying, and they were just all sad. I was like, "Oh, please don't cry," I'm just joking with you, So
that's awesome. For those of you who can't see, Sarah's off camera over there laughing. That's awesome. No, I wish I could be a fly on the wall when you tell a group of people that. That's funny. But okay, so glad you're still here with us. And there goes the ice machine. There you go. All right. Awesome. But so fast forward to today. So we've got. So we'll touch on this again real quick. We've got. Well, actually, hold on. Let me show these real quick.
Yeah.
These are the two you can only get in the tasting room, right?
That's right. So right now, you can only get. We have several in the tasting room that you can only get there.
Okay.
This is our full proof with the Tiffany blue label, and this is a single barrel. And we've done several single barrel picks that we have available over in the tasting room. We've also got two more that you can only get in the tasting room. One of them is it's called the Teddy. It's for a golf tournament that a buddy of mine and I throw to benefit the Ted Rhodes Golf Foundation
very cool.
Ted Rhodes Golf Course over here. And then we did a red wine cask aged bourbon that's available in the tasting room as well.
Oh, very cool.
But these two may be hitting the market. So we may do some single barrels for some of our bigger customers.
Nice.
And I think we're going to release the full proof out to the market probably in the next 3 months.
Nice.
And so they're great. This is 119 proof. I think this is 126.
Yep, there you go right there.
So
very cool.
Yeah.
Which one of these is more popular?
Everybody seems to really, really go crazy over the full proof.
Okay,
because it drinks like a 90 proof, but it's got that kick, and it's got a little peppery finish on the back end.
You're like, hey, this one's good, and then it punches you in the face.
Oh, it does punch you in the face. It does, 126 proof will punch you right in the face.
Yeah, so I'll just fall asleep right now.
That's right, yeah.
I know, I got to be careful with that stuff. I have the alcohol tolerance of about a 14-year-old girl, so I can just sniff it and be good. So, so tell us about these, though. These are the newest ones, right?
Well, so in 2021, we released this, which is Pitmaster Reserve Special Edition #1.
Okay.
This was a 15-year-old Tennessee straight bourbon in this nice screen-printed bottle with the Peg Leg Pig topper and then it's in a wooden presentation case, and then that's in another box.
Nice.
These are rare because we released it 4 years ago. Most of them are all sold.
Okay.
And so you can probably only find these mainly on the secondary market.
Got it.
This is a $400 bottle at retail.
Okay.
But we're seeing it on the secondary market sometimes for $1,000, $1,200.
Really? No kidding. Oh wow.
And so we had a pause during COVID and with everything, and so now we're finally releasing our Pitmaster Reserve Second Edition.
Okay.
And so we want to release one of these every year, but we had a 4-year hiatus, and now we're back on it. And this is actually a 15-year-old Canadian rye that's been double oaked on American white oak.
Dang.
And so there's 3,000 of these. You can see it's a different screen print, a different colored pig. This is in a different colored presentation case. Same price, $400 on the shelf. But it's a great drink, and they're great for people who want to collect. It's not for everybody.
Yep.
That's why we have our white label, which is a daily drinker.
All right.
And but these are for the guys that collect and want something special up on the shelf.
All right.
And they're great bottles. We're proud of them.
Yeah. Which one's the most popular of all? You said these ones are in the store. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, certainly our white label is our most popular.
Okay.
That's our daily drinker.
Gotcha.
The 8-year-old seems to be the sort of the fan favorite.
Yeah.
The 12-year-old as well.
Okay.
It just depends on how much age you like on your bourbon.
Yep.
8-year-old tends to be a real sweet spot. But I've got a lot of people that like an older bourbon and like a little bit more oak, and so the 12-year-old would be more up their alley.
Now, I heard very in passing, it was something about the coals you're using from your.
Yeah. So I developed a process that's unique. So the Lincoln County process is what makes Tennessee whiskey. They run the white dog when it comes off the still through sugar maple charcoal before it goes into the barrel, and that's one of the main traits of Tennessee whiskey. With ours is a Tennessee straight bourbon. Okay. And so we age the bourbon on the white label, for example, 4 to 6 years, and then after we debarrel it, we run it through hickory charcoal. Okay. And that's a process that I developed to tie it to our barbecue, to make it unique, to smooth it out. We think it does an excellent job. And there's been a lot of people that have copied us with other sort of versions of that since we did it. But, in 2023, the white label won World's Best Bourbon by the Tasting Alliance.
Whoa.
And so the Tasting Alliance holds 3 contests. They're the most prestigious alliance out there for alcohol or spirits tasting. They've got San Francisco World Spirits, which is a gold standard, New York World Spirits, and Singapore World Spirits. So this took a double gold in all 3 of those.
Nice.
And then took top 3 in San Francisco, and then in Singapore we took best in class. Dang. In San Francisco we got beat by Frank August and E.H. Taylor, both very well-known, prestigious brands. And then the Tasting Alliance did something that they've never done. So any of those wins, if you won at any of those, that would be considered a world championship.
Yeah.
So the Singapore was a world championship for that contest. But the Tasting Alliance did something in 23 that they've never done before, and they haven't done since. Okay. They took the best in class from Singapore, New York, and San Francisco in every category, and put them all head-to-head in a bracket-style competition.
Oh, nice.
And we ended up coming out on top. We won.
No way.
And so it's a different type of world title.
This guy right here.
It's never been done before.
What?
And we love it because this is our daily drinker. This is accessible to every one of our customers.
How cool is that?
And so that was a big honor. And then last year, our 8-year-old and our 12-year-old won Best in Class at New York World Spirits and Best in Class at Singapore World Spirits.
Jeez Louise.
So,
this we would have been better off starting with, let's see, you said healthcare, tech, you're restaurateur, you're an entrepreneur, you're you're a consultant, you're an inventor because you invented that, and now you're doing we'd be better off talking about what you don't do, because that list would be smaller. Holy cow, that's impressive. Yeah, it was actually, I had a little list here. I say little list. I got my little notes over here I'm looking at. But the list of your awards that you've won is this, y'all, my notes here, these pages, they're bullet pointed, and it's 3 pages long.
We've been very fortunate.
You have so many awards. I don't even know where to start. Like, I don't even have to start because it's so long. But well, of all the awards that you've won, which one meant the most to you?
I think, for the barbecue restaurant, it was, the goal was to have a successful barbecue restaurant. Mm-hmm. And in Tennessee, West Tennessee and Memphis has always been the king for barbecue. Yeah. And that was the way it was when I was growing up. Mm-hmm. That's the way, that I was taught, and that was the reality. Yeah. Memphis had more barbecue places than just about anywhere else in the world. Yeah. And they were the king. Mm-hmm. And that's where our barbecue is Memphis style. Yeah. And so when we were first awarded the best barbecue in the state of Tennessee by Southern Living, that was a massive deal for us. Yeah. It was kind of you've made it. It was one Nashville getting that over Memphis was a big hurdle. Mm-hmm. And then two, we've got great barbecue here in Nashville. And I've got some great peers that are in the business that produce great product. And so winning that was a big deal for us. Yeah, yeah. We've since won it, I think, a total of 7 times in the last 12 years.
Goodness gracious.
And so that was a big deal for us. And then when the bourbon started winning awards, it was a big deal. Mm-hmm. But to win best bourbon in the world in 2023 from the Tasting Alliance in that bracket style competition, that was massive because, as you know, Kentucky is known for bourbon.
Yeah, there you go.
And to beat Kentucky, that was a massive deal. And so, we've kind of made a living out of being a little bit of a disruptors. And disrupting the norm. Yeah. And we're proud of that. And I've got a dynamite, phenomenal team that believes in the brand that makes this stuff possible. Yeah. It's not just me, and it's not just my vision. I've got a team that helps bring that vision to life and helps us follow through. If it were up to me, the follow through would not be. I get bored. I'm not, I can come up with a billion ideas. But I need a team that can help follow those through.
So you're like the Rocky of barbecue, like the little unknown guy that comes in, and then you're like, oh, he won everything. And there's guys over there in Memphis and Kentucky sitting there going, who the hell is this Carey guy? He just came in and just destroyed everybody. So I know that's got to be pretty rewarding internally. Like you've got to be sitting there. Did you have moments where you're like, like?
Well, yeah, I think you have moments that you say, wow, is this really my life? Is this did we really get this done? Yeah. And it's very rewarding. It makes you feel great. You're proud. You're proud for your family. Mm-hmm. You're proud for your team. Yeah. And you're proud for your city. Yeah. And so it's been extremely rewarding. I never dreamed that barbecue would take me to the places that it has. Yeah. I've cooked in Spain and Sweden and Australia and had a chance to meet some of the world's best chefs and cook alongside them. Oh, that's awesome. And we've cooked at the James Beard House in New York on 3 separate occasions. Really? And so it's we've been it's the places that barbecue could take you. Yeah.
For those that don't know, the James Beard, that's a big deal right there. Holy moly, James Beard. Woo.
Well, I hadn't won a James Beard. So,
but you cooked there.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
cooked at the foundation.
Well, that's because you're past the award. They're like, no, we need him to cook for us. That's right. Bring him in. Bring that Carey barbecue guy.
There you go.
So, have you, in your mind, reached the top? Like, are you on Mount Kilimanjaro up there, or do you still have a ways to go? Or what do you think? What's next?
So we just launched our line of sauces and rubs nationwide with McCormick's.
Very cool.
And so that was a proud moment because McCormick's actually came to us. Yeah. And it was the CEO is actually from Tennessee. Okay. And he's a huge Peg Leg Porker fan and loves the bourbon. Yeah. And, he said, if you ever want to do anything, let me know. And I said, I'm gonna let you know right now.
Right now. That's right.
You don't need to ask me twice. You're talking to the decision maker.
That's awesome.
And so we signed that deal about 2 years ago, and we're just hitting the shelves. And
nice.
So we're in Kroger's and Walmart's and Giants and many, many more grocery stores across the country.
Oh, my gosh.
And we're excited about that and hope for the best with that. You know, it's got to sell through just like the bourbon.
Gotcha.
And it isn't the first order that matters. It's the second and the
third.
Right. So we're proud of that. And then we're about to expand our food company, our wholesale and retail food division with a purchase that we're making. And so those announcements will come in the next 6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
But you know, it's we're trying to build something here that's a little bit different. I'm not trying to build a chain of restaurants. That's not really my desire.
Okay.
What I'm trying to do is build out a lifestyle brand that is representative of me and my values and what I like to do and what I think is fun. And fortunately, we've got a lot of people that have wanted to go on that journey with us.
Yeah. You know, when you look at it in the grand scheme of things, you've done this in a very quick, short amount of time in the grand scheme of things. Like, so let's take that time and let's double it. Where do you see yourself then? Do you know? Do you have an idea?
You know, it's I don't know.
Well, the doors just keep opening. It sounds like,
and that goes. You know, it's back and forth. I can tell you where my wife wants me to be.
Oh yeah, I got you.
She wants this all sold and wants me to be at home.
Let's go retire.
You know, but I just hope we will continue the momentum and continue to build the brand and sort of spread the word. You know, we're not curing cancer here.
I got you.
I mean, you know, it's barbecue.
Yeah.
And so we try not to take ourselves too seriously. And we like to have fun. We like to take care of our people and make sure that they're not only enjoying their job, but they're thriving and that they can provide for their family.
Yep.
And, you know, and we just like to, you know, spread the word. The barbecue community is a family, and it's a strong family.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm friends with pitmasters all over the country and all over the world. And I can tell you that barbecue people are some of the best in the world.
Yeah.
And when there's a need, they get together and they help. I just cooked a fundraiser up in New York. We'll cook about 3 or 4 fundraisers this year. We work with and help support Operation Barbecue Relief,
Very cool.
Who go to disaster sites, and unlike other relief organizations that have a lot of red tape, they set up their tent, they set up their smokers, they set up their tilt skillets, and they just start feeding people.
Oh, that's awesome.
And they just feed them. And we worked with them during the tornado and the pandemic here in Nashville.
Yeah.
And we were able to feed, I think, 34,000 people in 16 days.
Oh my goodness!
Free meals with in conjunction with Operation Barbecue Relief, and then we handed the baton over to our buddies at Martin and Martin's Barbecue, and they did the same over the next 16 days.
Oh my goodness!
And so between the 2 barbecue places, we were able to feed 64,000 people that were in need in a 4-week period.
Jeez Louise.
And so that was a proud accomplishment. My staff was proud. They were, you know, they enjoyed. We were slow because of the pandemic. We had just gotten people back to work under the PPP Act, and they didn't have much to do. So, so being able to feed the community was a big deal for all of us.
Yeah.
And I think they were they figured out that they were able to cook a whole lot more food than they ever thought they could.
Right? Yeah. I can only imagine how many pounds of beef you must have gone through.
It was a lot of stuff.
It was a lot of stuff. Yeah. Yeah. One thing you said there, I love that you've created. I mean, the community here, yes, in Nashville, but you've created this community around you with Peg Leg Porker and your brand and everything here. Everybody loves you. I mean, we've spoken to a lot of people about you.
Not everybody.
I don't know. Well, the people I've spoken to love you, but you know,
go read Reddit.
No, don't read Reddit. Stay out of Reddit.
I did that one afternoon. That was depressing as shit.
Oh, yeah. You ain't kidding. So, you want to be in a bad mood real quick, go to Reddit. But everybody I've spoken to and knows you loves you and loves your food. And but I mean, it's, you know, food's a very emotional thing too. And like we were talking, it creates memories. I mean, the thing with the Jonathan Bowman I was talking about coming over here, I still remember that. And coming over, we go to Peg Leg and eat lunch, you know. And so,
well, that's what's important to us is we like to say we're not building a chain, we're building a legacy.
Yeah. Yes.
And so if you notice, all around here, everything that's on the walls are all family photos. These are my personal photos and my personal mementos. All of this.
Cool.
These are all my family. And so, you know, the family is important to us and important to our restaurant. We have a lot of families that work for us, probably 3 or 4 different families that work for us.
Oh, very cool.
And then, the thing that's when you talk about memories and we talk about legacy, when somebody brings their son in, before every Preds game, or when they come once a year with their entire family after Thanksgiving, those types of things really make an impression on you, because you remember, I remember where I used to go eat with my family or with my dad, and those memories, and that was important to me.
Yeah.
And having somebody make you a part of their life, that you're embedded in their life, is a big deal. It's a big responsibility, but it's a big deal.
Oh yeah.
And it makes an impression, and it really touches me that people think that much of this place, that they want to make us a part of their permanent memories in their life.
Yeah. Well, speaking of making an impression, I mean, you as the owner, you're a busy man. We know that, but don't you go downstairs every day between certain hours and sit at the bar and talk to people?
A lot of times,
and hang out.
I'm sitting at Bullshit Corner generally a lot of times at 4:30 in the afternoon, having a pork and stormy. And when we were building our new house, my wife and I lived here for 8 months. So I've got an apartment on the 3rd floor that a lot of people don't know about. And so we actually were in residence
that's
at
funny.
Peg Leg. So at that point, yes, I was downstairs every single day at the afternoon at 4:30.
But that's got to mean the world to your customers, though, and look over and be like, "Oh my gosh, there's Carey. Let's go talk to him." Like,
it's nice because it gives you a feel of what's going on. So one, you want to know what's happening in your restaurant. You don't want to be an absentee owner.
Yeah.
And 2, to be able to interact with people, and if they came specifically to come to your restaurant, I mean, we've had people come from all over the world, to eat here.
Nice.
And so when they do, if you can be there and they can meet you, then it's a big deal, and it's fun for them, and it's certainly fun for me to hear their story.
Yeah.
And everybody's got a different story. Some are barbecue enthusiasts. Some are, travel enthusiasts that just looked us up or saw an article. Some saw us on a TV show and want to come and meet you. And then there are families that come in that have been touched by cancer that will come in, and or specifically touched by osteogenic sarcoma, and they've read the story. And those meetings can go 2 ways. They're always emotional, but we have families that come in that have survivors, that have a child that survived osteogenic sarcoma, and we have families that come in that didn't, where their child didn't survive. Yeah. And those are hard stories to hear, but it means so much that they, again, wanted to be here because they knew the background and they wanted to meet me, or they wanted to just support our place because of that backstory.
God, you have the most rewarding job, it sounds like. My goodness.
I'm a lucky man.
You're a lucky man? That's awesome. I love it. Yeah. But I still can't believe you lived on the 3rd floor for 8 months.
It's a nice place.
It
was a lot nicer when you don't live there. But,
That's right. So. Yeah. Well, that's cool. Well, do you have plans or I don't know if you can say it, or do you have plans to open up any more restaurants around here? Or?
We'll never say never. I didn't ever think we were going to do anything more than Peg Leg. And Pringle's Smoking Oasis came about because a buddy of mine who does a lot of real estate development and recruits some of the most world-class restaurants around the country to come to Nashville. He had a piece of property over there with his business partners, and he wanted me to look at it. And I don't like to rent. And so I told him no initially. Yeah. And then he said, well, we will let you buy into it. And I said, okay, I'll at least go look. And it was a very unusual piece of property, triangular shaped, to look like a little island in the middle of this intersection. And then he finally said, look, we'll sell it to you. Okay. And so that was the impetus to open up the Smoking Oasis. There you go. A buddy of mine, Shane, had been harassing me about doing beef ribs. Yeah. And he knew I was never going to do beef at Peg Leg because that was something that we stuck to our guns about.
Yep.
And so at that point, I thought about it, and I decided to open up a Texas-style place.
There you go.
And I had been to an ice house down in Texas, and I was going to call it Pringle's Ice House, but I didn't think anybody in Tennessee would understand what that really meant, which is just kind of a big yard with a lot of outdoor activities and a lot of cold beer. So we called it Pringle's Smoking Oasis because it sits on that little sort of island.
Gotcha.
And and it's been a wonderful experience.
Yeah. Well, there you go. All right. Well, definitely. Well, we hope you do, because everything you seems to be doing is like, if you touch it, it's made of gold. So that's what it seems to be.
I don't know about that. But
I don't know. Well, it seems like it. You've been like, or as you said, you're a lucky man.
Yes.
That's wonderful. But I want to thank you for coming on. I know you got some work going on, so carving out some time to sit with us. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you so much for having me.
Oh yeah. Is there anything before we close out you want to say to anybody, or?
Oh, I just want to thank everybody that supported us. Thank you. It's outlets like yours that keep spreading the word about Peg Leg Porker, and so we love to have time sitting down and telling our story so that we can bring more people into the fold.
All right, cool. All right, well, there you go, everybody. We appreciate you tuning in as always. We got to cut it there. He's a busy man. He got to go. So, but other than that, you know the drill. If you got any questions or comments for Carey or anybody about barbecue, put them down below, and we'll get to those as soon as we can. And other than that, we're done.
All right, great.
All right, we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you.